Avengers Doomsday is doomed to be woke, it seems. You know he really means business when he writes, "This is the end" in the thumbnail. And he's gotta put "the end" in all red, so you know he's serious right now.
So there's a lot of people hyping up the up-and-coming Marvel projects like Spider-Man Brand New Day, the X-Men reboot movie, which is gonna be a total disaster.
I see your ability to see the future hasn't gone away.
And I'm gonna do other videos destroying that crap, but today we're gonna be talking about Avengers Doomsday, which from what the actors have accidentally leaked, it sounds like it's on par with Superman for being the worst movie ever made.
Superman is the worst movie ever? Whatever, not the point of the video.
So one of the main topics of discussion on this channel is the fact that Marvel and DC, comics and movies are basically dead. But my question is, will they ever get to a point where everybody stops watching? And I don't really think that that will happen, because there will always be hordes of retards who eat this slop up. We saw this with Fantastic Four First Steps and Superman. Two woke pieces of crap that go against the comics and the characters, race swapping and bringing in real world politics.
Let it be known that these are fictitious movies recounting fictional events in a fictional universe. So if you're gonna claim that these movies have real-world politics, maybe, just maybe, you should cite some specific references to real-life politics in their plots.
Both of them are underperforming at the box office despite how people are lying to you. But wouldn't you know it, we're led to believe that 99% of people on Earth adored these two movies. And just from a small bit of research and actually just using your brain, you can realize that all of this is fake.
Okay, hold your horses. All of this is fake? Sure, I wouldn't say that 99% of viewers loved these movies, but claiming the support is fake requires much more substantiation that I doubt you're willing to or capable of providing.
Thunderbolts, Superman, Fantastic Four, none of these movies are masterpieces or comebacks for the superhero movie. All of the hype online is unorganically generated by these companies.
That's quite an accusation. Do you happen to have proof of this, or is this another boy crying wolf?
Spending a lot of money to market this trash.
Marketing is how you generate hype for these projects. How is that inorganic? This is a very basic business practice that you see with every movie out there.
With the amount of money that Superman spent on marketing and God knows how many bots across the entire internet.
Well, do you have evidence of the marketing team setting up bots to promote Superman? Do you have any footage of this or something? Or is this another figment of your imagination?
They couldn't have made their money back with the 600 million box office.
Well, considering the movie's budget doesn't exceed 600 million, they clearly did make their money back.
But that's where we get onto Avengers Doomsday. Is all across the internet, all I'm seeing is people trying to hype this up and people talking about it. The MCU and the superhero movie was done after Endgame.
Superhero movies aren't restricted towards the MCU. We had the Spider-Verse movies released either near Endgame's release or afterwards. But I imagine you hate those movies for obvious reasons, so I'll run with another example. The Batman is one of the best received superhero movies and made plenty of money, but then again, you hate that one as well, as established earlier, so I don't know, maybe you're allergic to quality storytelling or something like that. Maybe it happens to be offensive to you.
It was good while it lasted. It was like a 15-year run of movies. Except it wasn't really all that good, and all of it has been ruined.
Not really? Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was pretty good, but you probably hate that one too, so never mind.
Now you compare that to the comics that ran for way longer and kept the integrity and the respect for the source material, the fans and the characters. And you realize that it's undeniable that the comics will always beat the movies. And I'll probably talk a bit more about that if I do an X-Men video, because if they make a brand new X-Men reboot, there's no way that it will be any way as good as the X-Men comics. Be it the classic uncanny X-Men from the 70s, the underrated punk rock era of the 80s, or the iconic and best-selling Jim Lee Chris Claremont run. It's super easy to make a good X-Men or superhero movie.
Okay, make one yourself and I'll be the first one to buy tickets. I'm looking forward to the experience of it all.
You just go back to the 70s, 80s or 90s and pick one of those successful runs. It's actually really easy, and if these companies wanted to actually revive the superhero genre, they could easily do it if somebody just read the comics.
Reading comics doesn't make you an effective writer. If you believe these stories are so bad, why is your only solution to read other stories when that doesn't actually inform you on how to write?
And from the sounds of it with Avengers Doomsday, nobody is reading any comics. They're just trying to get as many retarded characters into one handicapped movie.
It's funny how you keep saying these things, but you can't actually prove them. Now, to be absolutely clear, I'm not here to act like the MCU is this pure cinematic universe incapable of having bad writing. It has a lot of misses, and I mean a lot, but I reserve criticism until after it's out rather than before, because that's what logical criticism would be. Not that this guy even knows how to spell the word logical.
At least Infinity War and Endgame had some resemblance to the Jim Starlin Infinity Gauntlet run.
You can make the same argument for Doomsday, if the characters happen to have some resemblance to the comics. A lot of these movies do through its visual references to comics, which is apparently good enough for you.
So let me get this straight. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doctor Doom. Terrible casting.
Yeah, I agree. This is silly. Got no clue why they did this.
Fantastic Four is there, but Johnny Storm is gay and Reed Richards is also gay and Mexican.
Well, that took a turn. Once again, I don't understand why you keep obsessively using gay as an insult when it's entirely unrelated. But of course, I have my own theories.
Then you have Captain America, who isn't really Captain America, it's just some black guy pretending to be him.
Listen, Vengeance, I understand that black people existing is offensive to you, and I'm very sorry that offends you.
Gonna cry?
Oh yeah, and you know Iron Man, that character that had years and years of runs that were never adapted in the movies or TV shows? Yeah, let's ignore all that. Iron Man will be in the movie, but it's actually Ironheart.
Well, it's gonna be difficult adapting Iron Man stories if their respective Iron Man is dead.
You know that little black girl who needs to go back to the hood?
I understand you're still offended over black people, and I'm very sorry they offend you.
Because her inclusion in the movie not only makes me just totally ignore this trash, but I think a lot of other people will do the same. And on top of fake black Captain America, Iron Man, Mexican gay dudes with Freddie Mercury mustaches, feminist bitches like Sue Storm.
You're on your way to winning the Offended Olympics, and I'm really happy for you, Mr. Vengeance. You finally found a way to succeed in what you're most passionate about. So that's great for you, man.
We also have the X-Men trying to be crammed into the story. And no, it's not new castings for the X-Men that actually fit. They're taking the actors from the crappy Fox movies that were so inaccurate it made me want to pluck my eyes out, and they're bringing them back now when all of them are like 70 years old.
You know what's interesting? We're about halfway into this video, and this guy still hasn't explained where the woke propaganda elements are. Which is weird, since if you can apparently tell the future, you should be warning us of what's to come. You should be trying to prevent our collective demise. And you're just standing there not telling us the details. Why? The fate of our universe depends on it.
The one thing I can say about this movie that might be good is Gambit, because Channing Tatum's Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine was one of the only redeeming things in recent years of Marvel. You had a guy who acted and looked like he was straight out of the comics.
Acting straight out of the comics doesn't automatically mean this is good writing. And look, I do enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine, and I don't think Gambit himself is particularly an issue. In fact, I enjoyed him in the movie. But that movie does not have very good writing. Gambit isn't even on the level of other great characters in the MCU, such as Tony Stark in Iron Man 1, Cap in Winter Soldier, the Guardians movies, and so many other works that overshadow this.
A Nightcrawler from X2, which is kind of a crappy version of the character, is also going to be in Doomsday. And what he says here is the final nail in the coffin. I did the entire film in isolation. Lots of green screen, face replacement. I didn't know who I was acting with half the time. How the hell does that work? Gone are the days when people could make an actually well-made film, like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, or Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, which did some damage to the superhero movies and the accuracy to the comics, but at the same time it's kind of underrated because it takes stuff from Year One and Long Halloween. And it's not just those two trilogies of superhero movies, there's tons more, like the Netflix Daredevil show, which took directly from the comics from the 70s and 80s, which most people will never do, so respect to them for that. Keeping the gritty noir visuals, but also staying accurate to the fact that he's a superhero who swings around New York City. Forget all of that. In Avengers Doomsday, nobody is actually on set together. There's no set, it's just a green screen, and they're gonna cut it all together later.
Okay, so he has some taste here and there, and I can agree that the quote from the Nightcrawler actor sounds a bit concerning. However, that doesn't mean we know the reasons behind why these decisions are being made. Potentially it's to keep information hidden from other actors. Also, green screen in itself isn't a bad practice. It's only bad if utilized poorly. This could go either or, and given that the Russos are behind Winter Soldier and Civil War, I'm not going to immediately assume they'll do a crappy job.
I'll put money on the bet right now. You can come back and watch this video when the movie comes out. This movie is going to be a disaster that's going to be remembered for decades on how not to make a movie.
Okay. But if you're wrong about your reasons, you owe me, let's say, a Nintendo Switch 2, because those things are expensive as hell. Care to shake on it?
Deadpool and Wolverine relied on cameos to get people in the theater.
So, why are you praising Gambit then? Because it sounds like the characters were sloppily included by your own criticism here.
And I'm not gonna lie, as a fan of the comics and Wolverine, I did like certain stuff about it. But at the same time, the entire movie was a cheap green screen piece of crap that relied on cameos and nostalgia.
Okay, so why are you praising one of the cameos then? You see how this is counterproductive to proving your point here?
That might have been good as a one-time thing, but now they're doing it again.
Well, cameos and nostalgia were utilized in Endgame already, alongside No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness, so why single out Deadpool and Wolverine as this being good as a one-time thing? The only reason I can think of is that you're getting a different mix of cameos resulting in different stories, which I can easily apply to Doomsday. Notice how he keeps struggling to argue from a consistent standard.
They're even bringing back the original Thor and Captain America, trying to get people to watch this.
Well, the original Thor is still alive, so that's not an issue. What about Steve Rogers as Captain America though? Where's your proof that he's returning in this movie?
This is the most desperate a company has been in a very long time.
Sure, but you said it would be a woke disaster, and you haven't given any examples outside of getting offended over black people.
Even though I hate what DC is doing with their brand new flops like Superman and Supergirl that nobody is gonna watch, at least they're rebooting stuff and creating new characters. This is the most pathetic thing ever. I probably won't talk about Doomsday again until something mad comes out about it or the movie actually comes out.
But I thought you already knew how this would turn out.
Oh, because you're from the future.
Because you gotta be honest, this is pretty damn depressing.
Kinda like your YouTube channel.
The fact that they're trying to bring back Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans. Look everybody, it's like the classic Avengers. Except the entire thing is spasticated, full of black race swaps, and really gay.
I understand that minorities are offensive to you, and I'm very sorry that offends you.
Just to end off this video, if you don't have superhero fatigue and you're just sick of crappy green screen trash movies, then the best option is always the comics. So if you're in that boat, I do recommend reading the classic 70s Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont. Check out the Infinity Gauntlet or Secret Wars if you want a real crossover that isn't retarded.
Ah, look at him go. Now he's the one nostalgia baiting in his content.
And truly, all of these characters have comics that are 10 times better written, drawn, and paced than any movie. Check out Frank Miller's Daredevil run, The Man Without Fear, Born Again.
I'm actually reading Daredevil and very much enjoyed the Man Without Fear storyline, so hey, great choice.
Ed Brubaker's Captain America, David Michelinie's Iron Man. Basically any Spider-Man run from the 60s, 70s, or 80s. And the same goes for any comic featuring Wolverine in the 80s. Trust me, if you're sick of the movies, check out any of these comics and they're 10 million times better. So screw all these movies that I can predict right now are gonna have a massive wave of fake hype and so-called box office success.
This is character assassination for ranting for vengeance. He wants to rant for vengeance, but doesn't vengefully leak out the details of Avengers Doomsday before it comes out. We know he can do this because he can see what happens in the future, yet he doesn't want to warn the people that he's trying to convince. This is bad writing, 2 out of 10.
Any real fan of these characters, Marvel, DC, and good entertainment will just go back and read the original comics. And if you're one of those real fans, do let me know and maybe consider subscribing. And if any handicap out there has a problem with anything I just said,
X-Men fan using handicapped as an insult. I don't know, I just find that kind of ironic and funny.
go complain to your boyfriend.
Said while his boyfriend is behind the camera. Now before I hear it, I'm not saying Avengers Doomsday is going to be good, nor do I think the MCU is incapable of being bad. But this guy is bad at what he does. Both of these things can be true at the same time. And like I said, it's personally entertaining, laughing at a crazy guy telling us about the future, yet refusing to show us any details about said future. It's like that one scene in Batman vs Superman. That's all I've got to say for now. This has been fun as usual. Let me know what you think in the comments, and subscribe if you want more of these. Maybe suggest what I should respond to next. That's all I have for now. See you later. Goodbye.